Once when I was 5 years old, I found a $20 bill, which was the most money I had ever seen at that point. There was only one problem. That $20 bill was in my mom's purse. So when I found that bill, I took it. I don't really know why. I don't know what I was planning on doing with it. And then I was really kind of nervous about having this $20 bill. And then later on that week, I heard my mom asking someone in the house if they had seen this $20. So what did I do? I ran outside and I dug a hole in the ground and I buried the $20 bill. Now that story, besides being embarrassing, I think gives us a pretty good insight into the reality that we call shame that we're going to be talking about today. Like me, you've probably experienced the effects of shame before. Shame, which is that embarrassment, that feeling alone for things that we've done, things that we've failed to do. And that experience has its source in the very first moments of our history, right after the original sin, right after the fall of Adam and Eve. Because if you remember, God created Adam and Eve, He created them good, and they were both naked without shame. They were totally vulnerable to one another. They could see one another, and there was no shame. But once they sinned, once they turned from God and turned from His plan, that's when shame entered in. And they covered themselves, they hid themselves from one another, and then they hid themselves from God. And that experience of shame is really what John Paul II will call a border experience in the history of humanity, because it points to us something very important about who we are, that our bodies were created good, which means we're not meant to be lusted after. We're not meant to be used as an object. So while that shame points to a bad experience of being lusted after, being used, someone looking at you in a way that objectifies you, it actually, if you look on the flip side of that, points to a deeper and good reality. That's bad because we are good, because your body is good, because you were made for something more. You were made by God out of love and for love. So the negative experience of shame actually points to a positive reality that you and I are made by God for intimacy. Intimacy with Him, where we are known by God and loved by God, and through that intimacy with one another, to be in a relationship of love with other people. And so even though we can experience in our lives the negative effects of sin as shame, hopefully that moves us towards that deeper relationship of love for which we've been made.